Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Defining Discipline podcast. I'm your host, Scott. Defining discipline is a lifestyle, a mentality, and a brand. And within this podcast, we're going to focus on self-improvement as you follow along with me on my journey. We'll also hear from special guests of all walks of life on this podcast and their remarkable journeys that led them to where they are today. Today is day 184 of my journey. At the beginning of the year, I challenged myself to run 365 days out of the year this year, all outside, bearing the elements, whatever they may bring. I also challenged myself to run 1,500 miles within this time frame. Now, this is my second year ever running. Within the first full year of running, I was able to run 1,002 miles, and I did that within 175 days out of the year. So this year will be a 50% step up in miles, as well as a 100% step up in the amount of days I'll be out there putting in those miles. Also throughout this year, I challenged myself to run 2 big races. One being a 50K trail race, which I got done on June 5th, 2021. It was Yankee Springs, Michigan. Got it done 7 hours, 15 minutes, 22 seconds. Officially, I'm an ultra runner. And then was still able to get out there the following day, and ever since, to continue the run streak. Now, the next race we got coming up, I'm looking forward to, is the Detroit Free Press Marathon. I'll be running the Motor City Challenge in that as well, which includes the 5K and the mile race the day before the actual marathon. So, really looking forward to that. So like I said, today is day 184. As you can tell, I am again on Lake Huron. Hoping this episode works out, because yesterday's episode actually had a wind problem, me being on the lake, but I actually had a second camera in the stroller recording the baby, which I was able to steal the audio from. So hopefully we have some good audio on this one. But we are up in Rogers City. I'm on Lake Huron. Right now I'm on a beach trail instead of the other one I ran yesterday. It's a little more hilly, and it's kind of a little more tree cover, a little more shade. And I didn't do it yesterday, so I'd like to, explore a little bit something new. If I got up earlier, I had planned on running today a half marathon up Lake Huron to the 40 Mile Point Lighthouse, but didn't get up early enough, so looks like another trip for next time, or another run for next time. So for today though, gonna be trying to put in another 10K for the day, maybe just right around 6.1 exactly. So I don't have official mileage again for the day, week, month, and year. But I will give you that update, especially on tomorrow's episode, when we're going to be able to upload actually back at home. So that is your quick update on daily mileage. It's going to be at least a 10K. And the trail ends right at the corner of the beach. Absolute beauty of a day, guys. July 3rd, if I haven't mentioned. Alright, so now we're going back on the self-guided trail, which I don't understand how it's self-guided if there's only one trail that leads you one way and back, but we're going on this trail now, heading back. So 10K for the day. That is the goal. Oh man. One more time for review. Look at that one. Alright. So that's the goal for today. I'll give you the update on the monthly, the weekly, and all those kind of miles. Ooh, maybe I did find another trail. Let's see. Looks a little hairy though. I don't know if I want some ticks right now. So every single month, now that I've updated you kind of on the weekly, monthly, and yearly miles of not knowing exactly where we're at. I know we're over 800, and yearly, monthly we'll be at around 16 or 17, and weekly I think we're gonna be around 26 maybe. I don't know. I have no idea where we're gonna be at on weekly. But let's get back to the case. Every single month I challenge myself to do a 100-mile challenge, and I do those challenges in honor of different charities in which I donate money, and I start a fundraiser to raise money and awareness for those charities throughout the months. So for the first 6 months we were able to raise money for 6 great charities. Now we're here in the 7th month raising money for a 7th great charity. And that 7th charity is the Detroit Phoenix Center. And what they do is they help the youth homeless that are struggling within the Detroit area. They help them find jobs, get on their feet, help them get an education. Anywhere from, I think 13 to 26, 27. So they're really just trying to rehabilitate some of these kids that, maybe didn't have an opportunity, lost their opportunity, whatever the case may be. They're not homeless. So that is what this fundraiser is about. So really excited to do this charity and this fundraiser for this month. I will be making my donation either today or tomorrow. Other than that, that's pretty much it. If you would like to make a donation to this month's fundraiser, you can find the link to do so on the Defining Discipline Instagram story or the Defining Discipline Facebook story. You can also find it on my personal page's Instagram story or my personal page's Facebook story. Within that link, on top of the story, it'll say donate on Facebook. You just click on that. It'll open up another page where you're able to make your monthly or your donation to this month's fundraiser. However much you make, all donations that get made to this fundraiser go directly to this fundraiser. Facebook does not take any cut or any portion of the donations. That's why we kind of continue to do it through Facebook, because they made that agreement not to take any cut. So other than that, maybe you're not able to make a donation, you can't afford to. The best thing you do is just click that share button and just share it on your page so people who you're friends with can see what it's about. That helps out a lot. Helps out more than you know. We're just trying to raise awareness of what these charities are about and what their cause is about. So you clicking that share button really tremendously helps them. So doesn't hurt you too much, helps them a lot. Click it, hit that share button, guys. Other than that, let's kind of just get into today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to keep it too much longer, and I don't know how good this audio is with this wind, but for today's episode 184 of the Defining Discipline podcast, today's episode is, since we're here on Lake Huron, yesterday's was tide, this one is going to reflect kind of on the water aspect again, but it's going to have a little bit of different meaning. So today's theme for today's episode is adrift. And I say that because for a while here, and a good portion of my adult lifehood, I was just floating adrift. And when you float adrift, you kind of just aimlessly hoping that things are going to work out or everything's going to happen. And yeah, it's good to have optimism at sometimes, but it's also good to kind of take action, because at least some kind of action is getting you in some sort of direction. And when you're just floating adrift, you're aimlessly floating in no direction, don't know where you're headed, don't know where you're going, don't know what might end up happening. So being adrift in some situations can be helpful, but in most situations it's just being ignorant. So are you adrift at sea? You know, like I said, for the longest time I was, not knowing what I was doing, no aim, no ambition. And I listened to this new influential speaker, Kirwan something. He's from Australia, I believe. Great guy, great speaker. He had a great story. Or it might not have been him, might have been someone else, I'm sorry. But he was bringing up the point about when you're a kid, when you're 5, when you're from a different age, from 5 to 6, you become just a different person completely, because you develop, you grow, and you always do. And we become a certain age where our egos and all that kind of gets in our heads, and it stunts us, where when we age, we don't develop. We kind of still stay mentally, maybe as a 26-year-old or a 22-year-old or an 18-year-old, whatever the case may be. The point is that's being adrift. That's not having an aim. That's not pushing forward and trying to develop yourself over and over and over again and get better and to grow with the times. Make yourself, the best version you possibly can to actually act your age, which, something I struggle with from day to day, every day, It's hard to act my age. I like to have a good sense of humor and be not necessarily immature, but just, have a different outlook on life and try to stay young at heart. But sometimes you can't do that. You need to really kind of grow up, and that's kind of what I'm facing right now, and I'm trying to do as much as I can, is really take that responsibility, grow up, and own up, and to quit floating adrift aimlessly through life. So I've set these goals, I've set these aims, and I've been going for them these past few years. And with me taking on this responsibility, I can see land in sight, and I got a direction in which I'm headed. So I'm grateful and thankful for those situations and what I'm in right now, and what I continue to put myself in, and to kind of get out of adrift and aim myself towards something. So that's pretty much it for today's episode. Are you adrift in your life? Are you just drifting along, not knowing where you're going, what to do? Are you out at lake or sea, whatever it may be, just floating with no direction, hoping that a lifeboat comes to save you? Or are you out there floating, paddling, aiming towards the sun, aiming towards a cloud, aiming towards something? What is it? What are you doing? So for your daily discipline, guys, it is to stop floating adrift, to get an aim and start aiming towards it. So that's pretty much it for today's episode 183, or 84, I'm sorry, Adrift. You got your daily discipline. I did not talk about the book or the word of the day. We will do that tomorrow when we're not traveling and on the road and running, doing an episode like this. So thank you so much for following along and listening. I hope this episode audio is all good. I have to kind of scrub through it here a little bit and make sure before I post it. Thanks so much. Like I said, I'm your host, Scott. This is the Defining Discipline podcast. This is episode 184. We're on Lake Huron in Rogers City. Thanks so much for following along. If you guys can, please give the podcast a like, a subscribe, a follow, and a share on our Facebook, our Instagram, our YouTube, our TikTok, and whatever podcast streaming platform you guys have been following along on and listening to. This is probably another episode I should mention that if you listen to it audio-wise, may have been more well advised to switch right over to video version because of the views. So, should have mentioned it at the beginning, but I didn't. So thank you guys so much for listening and following along. I'm your host, Scott. Peace out.